Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the latest DC Extended Universe movie, Shazam!
In this drastic switch from grit to comedy, the movie follows 14-year-old foster kid Billy Batson, who by shouting one word, Shazam, can turn into the grown-up superhero, Shazam!
And we were really excited to watch this movie for a while since the trailers came out. We even surprised they even did a movie on Shazam considering the route the universe was taking at the time.
Yes. And this was a very different take. My favorite version of Shazam is the Young Justice version. But this one was pretty good, and from what we've learned, this was the original arc for Shazam back in the original comics. Mm-hmm. So we're actually getting to see, I guess, a more purist portrayal of the character and his backstory.
Because the version we saw, we assumed on Young Justice was the original version where he had an Uncle Dudley he was living with. and when we saw the movie, it was a whole different story. We assumed that it was modernized. And when we were watching the features, we learned that part of it is a little bit adapting from the New 52 when they did that version, but it was sticking mostly to the original story of the Shazam family,
right,
which we had no idea. We thought that was like an addition made later on.
And I have to say that Asher Angel, who you may know from Andy Mack, did a fantastic job as playing Billy Batson, half of the superhero. And then, of course, the adult version
with Zachary Levi
was done. Of course, you know, he does an exceptional job in every role he's played, even when he does the voiceover. So he was great, and he really was fantastic at conveying that young, youthful version of this adult. And that was fun for a while until you get to part of the movie where you realize that he's a surface superhero and not a real superhero at heart, not knowing how he needs to be and what's required of him. And so, unfortunately, after a while, the kid version of him got old and it began to be irresponsible. But it was great. I mean, it has some great actors in here. Jaimin Hansu, as we mentioned, Zachary Levi, Jack Dylan Grazer, who will make a fantastic Deku in My Hero Academia live action. This kid was fantastic. And of course, all the other actors that appeared in it as well. It's really, and Adam Brody, because I watched Adam Brody on the original OC, so I was really excited to see him. I knew him. And Megan Good, I'm a fan of hers. And Michelle Borth, we knew from watching Hawaii Five-0. So it was really, really great to see these actors, I guess you could say, do something different than what we're used to seeing them do.
And another thing that was different about the movie, that they did not have Black Adam. They had talked about Black Adam being a Shazam movie, but it looks like they're going to save him for a solo movie, which either shows his origins or something like in between a Shazam sequel.
And I think he's being still played by
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
because we had heard he was going to be in a Shazam movie, but we didn't know he was going to be Shazam or Black Adam. So after they cast Zachary Levi, then they finally confirmed that he'll be playing the villain in a Black Adam solo movie, which I'm surprised they're even making, and then possibly playing him again when they do a Shazam sequel, because they've already confirmed that they're writing another movie for this.
Well, maybe one reason, possibly, is because Dwayne Johnson would end up being the focus of the movie. He's the big star. Zachary Levi is a star too. But when you put Dwayne Johnson in a movie, the focus automatically goes to him. And maybe they wanted the focus to stay on, of course, the title character Shazam and Billy Batson, and not on Dwayne Johnson. So if that is the case, then I can understand why they will go the route of not having that character in this movie. But in the sequel, maybe he'll make an appearance.
Yeah, it's definitely possible since he's getting a solo movie. Maybe it shows what leads up to his appearance. And for this movie, like I said, instead of Black Adam, they had Dr. Sivana, who was the original first villain in the Shazam comics. And in here, he wanted the power of Shazam because he was originally going to get it, and then you find out he was his heart wasn't pure because he was going to accept the darkness.
You're not ready.
Yeah, you're going to the darkness, and he couldn't do it. And since then, he's been looking for the power again. This time to defeat the power of Shazam. So that was interesting to have a whole new type of villain play the foil for Shazam, and they even introduced DC's version of the Seven Deadly Sins. Although the entire time we were watching, when we heard that, all we thought of was the homunculi from Full Metal Alchemist. I'm like, this looks nothing like that. Like, I guess they wanted the more monstrous versions of them.
And this has been a long time coming because back in the 70s, I think it was the late 70s, they had a Shazam series that was followed by ISIS, and it was live action. I can't think of the guy, Mark Ranson, I think, who originally played him, and we got to see him last year on Comic Book Guys, and it was great to see him. And he originally did a live action version. He was really young, and he was Billy Batson, who was a teenager in that version before he returned to Shazam, who was played by, of course, another older actor. So this has been a long time coming. I'm sure there's a whole host of Shazam fans out there who've been waiting for this and wanting this for so long. So it's great that DC finally did it, and they did it in a competent way, in a fun way, in a way that gave the backstory as originally intended, with some really great actors, a competent storyline, great arc, and people, as I said, we're going to see a lot of these people, the young ones who played the foster kids with him, we're going to see them in other things because this entire group of kids are great. And again, that guy is going to be that's a perfect Midoriya. You got to cast him as Deku.
Yeah.
You have to cast him as Deku in the live action My Hero Academia. He's perfect. He's precious and perfect. He's got acting skills. He looks like Midoriya. That humbleness comes through him and his
superhero
acting.
Fanatic.
Yes, so he would be perfect for playing Midoriya.
And it's the same company, I think, Warner Brothers and Legendary. So yeah, they could do it. So yeah, please pick this person, not someone else. Like, who is this?
Right.
So, and then you see a little bit later, you kind of got a little bit of foreshadowing for the sequel. But it's not like a big overarching thing. Like I said, it could have two villains, or they could save one villain for another movie and then have maybe a new one for the sequel. As you can see, like, another villain is coming up. So for DC, in terms of DC's universe, it looks like people are happy that they found a footing and decided to be a little more lighthearted compared to the earlier movies.
Right.
And not to put down the other movies, pretty much all their other movies are pretty good in their own ways, despite some critics or fans' opinions. Other than, Suicide Squad, most of the other movies are pretty good. We enjoyed Man of Steel. Some people enjoyed Batman vs. Superman. Everyone loved Wonder Woman. Justice League was kind of half and half. Aquaman was the first step to actually being convincing action comedy, instead of Suicide Squad, which was too many different genres at once to get a grasp on what it was. And then you have Shazam, which is full-on comedy with some action. And it looks like this is the path they're going to go, because it seems to be more receptive of people who, enjoyed the original comics and the DC animated shows. And at this point, you might as well do a Shazam animated series, because it seems logical to me.
And you saw a lot of people, of course, that have been in Disney productions or TV shows and movies. So you might as well say this was a Disney movie. But you could definitely tell the difference between the DC version of the superhero movies and the Marvel.
Right.
You can definitely tell the difference. But this is...
DC, your Marvel's showing.
Yes. But this is like the Wonder Woman movie. You had a movie that stood out on its own, that was successful, that competently and wonderfully did a portrayal of the character that we fell in love with, an actress who was perfect for the role. You can't wait to see the next movie. And Shazam is in the same vein. I'm waiting for the second movie. I can't wait to see more. Glad to know the original backstory. And I know we have some Shazam comics. I remember you're buying some a few years ago. But, of course, they're the latter comics and not the earlier
like New
comics.
52 and so forth, yeah.
Right. So if you've seen this movie, Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you were a Shazam fan long before this movie came out, if Shazam has been one of your heroes since childhood, or if this is your childhood and Shazam's your hero, tell us more in the comments as well.
Yes. Oh, one more thing I would like to mention. At an earlier point, like maybe July and further back, I did make a trailer of Shazam that I showed to Mama, and she absolutely loved it.
Yes.
So you're gonna check out those trailers too that I did for Rascal, because Mom's like, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect."
Yes. And Fast Sam too.
Yeah. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
Flashing lights, trying to walk around, man. Who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.